एक बहुत बड़ी और इसको सॉल्व करने के लिए दो राइवल डिटेक्टिव टीम्स हैं।
अच्छा।
टीम ए, जिन्हें हम क्लासिकल एवोल्यूशनिस्ट कहते हैं, उनका मानना है कि हर सोसाइटी एक ही स्क्रिप्ट फॉलो करती है, एक ही सीढ़ी चढ़ रही है।
मतलब एक यूनिवर्सल पैटर्न है।
एग्जैक्टली, सिंपल है ना। बट देन कम्स टीम बी और इसे लीड कर रहे हैं एक मास्टर डिटेक्टिव फ्रांस बोआस। वो कहते हैं नो वे, हर कल्चर का अपना अलग क्राइम सीन है, अपनी अलग बैक स्टोरी है।
राइट, मतलब हर केस यूनिक है।
बस यही आज हमारे डिस्कशन का कोर है। हम आज इन बड़े बड़े आइडियाज के क्लैश को अनपैक करने वाले हैं। एवोल्यूशनिज्म, डिफ्यूजनिज्म और बोआस का गेम चेंजिंग हिस्टोरिकल पर्टिकुलरिज्म। ये आपकी मास्टर क्लास होने वाली है। और सुनिए, इससे पहले कि हम ये एडवेंचर शुरू करें, फटाफट सब्सक्राइब बटन हिट कर दीजिए, नोटिफिकेशन बेल ऑन कर लीजिए और कमेंट करके हमें बताइए कि आप क्या सीखने के लिए सबसे ज्यादा एक्साइटेड हैं। चलिए शुरू करते हैं।
बिल्कुल। तो आज का लर्निंग मैप ये रहा। हम 9 इंपॉर्टेंट प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस को अनपैक करेंगे एक एक करके फुल डिटेल में।
वाओ, 9 क्वेश्चंस, ये तो कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव होने वाला है।
We'll start with the epic clash between historical particularism and classical evolutionism. फिर हम देखेंगे कि डिफ्यूजनिज्म कल्चर चेंज को कैसे एक कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट एक्सप्लेनेशन देता है।
ओके।
और एंड तक आप फ्रांस बोआस के कंट्रीब्यूशन को इतनी क्लैरिटी से समझ जाएंगे कि सारे कॉन्सेप्ट्स बिल्कुल क्रिस्टल क्लियर हो जाएंगे। रेडी फॉर दिस अमेजिंग लर्निंग एडवेंचर? लेट्स बिगिन।
ओके, लेट्स अनपैक दिस। हमारा पहला सवाल 2024 से है, 20 मार्क्स के लिए।
ग्रेट क्वेश्चन टू स्टार्ट विद। चलिए इसको ब्रेक डाउन करते हैं।
द बिग चैलेंज, बोआस वर्सेस द ओल्ड स्कूल।
हाँ,
तो देखो, हिस्टोरिकल पर्टिकुलरिज्म जिसे फ्रांस बोआस ने पायनियर किया, वो सिर्फ एक नया आइडिया नहीं था। ये क्लासिकल एवोल्यूशनरिज्म के खिलाफ एक डायरेक्ट रिबेलियन था, एक बगावत थी।
रिबेलियन, ये तो स्ट्रॉन्ग वर्ड है।
हाँ, क्योंकि एवोल्यूशनिस्ट का मानना था कि सारी सोसाइटीज एक सिंगल लाइन में मूव करती हैं, प्रिमिटिव से सिविलाइज्ड तक। बोआस ने इस पर गौर किया और कहा रॉन्ग। उन्होंने आर्ग्यू किया कि हर कल्चर अपनी स्पेसिफिक हिस्ट्री का एक यूनिक प्रोडक्ट है।
अच्छा, इसको ऐसे समझते हैं। सोचिए, दो अलग अलग स्कूल्स हैं। एक स्कूल कहता है कि हर स्टूडेंट को पहले मैथ्स, फिर साइंस, फिर इंग्लिश ही पढ़ना चाहिए, एक फिक्स्ड यूनिवर्सल ऑर्डर में। ये है यूनिलीनियर एवोल्यूशनिज्म।
बिल्कुल, वन साइज फिट्स ऑल अप्रोच।
हाँ, फिर आता है दूसरा स्कूल, बोआस का स्कूल, जो कहता है नहीं दोस्त, हर स्टूडेंट की नीड्स अलग हैं। कोई आर्ट में अच्छा है, कोई स्पोर्ट्स में। हम उनके स्पेसिफिक टैलेंट्स और हिस्ट्री के हिसाब से एक कस्टम करिकुलम बनाएंगे। ये है हिस्टोरिकल पर्टिकुलरिज्म। समझे?
वाओ, व्हाट एन एनालॉजी, परफेक्ट। इससे कॉन्सेप्ट एकदम क्लियर हो जाता है।
तो इस आंसर को एक परफेक्ट स्ट्रक्चर कैसे दें?
राइट, इसे हम 3 की सेगमेंट्स में ब्रेक डाउन करेंगे, इंट्रोडक्शन, बॉडी एंड कंक्लूजन।
आपको स्टार्ट करना चाहिए हिस्टोरिकल पर्टिकुलरिज्म को डिफाइन करके एज बोआस's डायरेक्ट क्रिटिकल रिस्पांस टू क्लासिकल एवोल्यूशनिज्म।
कॉन्टेक्स्ट सेट करने के लिए आपको उनकी लैंडमार्क बुक द माइंड ऑफ प्रिमिटिव मैन, जो 1911 में आई थी, जरूर मेंशन करनी चाहिए।
अच्छा, बुक का रेफरेंस देना इंपॉर्टेंट है।
बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट। इससे पता चलता है कि आपने होमवर्क किया है। आपको ऐसे लिखना है कि बोआस ने सिर्फ एक नई थ्योरी नहीं दी, उन्होंने 19th सेंचुरी एंथ्रोपोलॉजी की पूरी फाउंडेशन को चैलेंज किया।
यहाँ पर हम 4 सॉलिड पॉइंट्स बनाएंगे। ए, क्रिटिक ऑफ यूनिलिनियर एवोल्यूशनिज्म एंड यूनिवर्सलिज्म। यहाँ बताइए कि बोआस ने सिंगल ट्रेजेक्टरी वाले आइडिया को रिजेक्ट किया, और यहाँ टर्म इंट्रोड्यूस कीजिए, मल्टीलिनियर कल्चरल डेवलपमेंट।
मल्टीलिनियर मतलब मल्टीपल लाइंस ऑफ डेवलपमेंट।
एग्जैक्टली। इसको सब्सटैंशिएट कीजिए जुनी कल्चर के एग्जाम्पल से। उनका सोशल कॉन्फ़िगरेशन इतना कॉम्प्लेक्स था कि उन्हें लोअर रैंक करना एक सिंपल एवोल्यूशनरी लैडर पर इम्पॉसिबल था।
बी, मेथोडोलॉजिकल शिफ्ट, एम्पिरिसिज्म एंड फील्ड वर्क।
एवोल्यूशनिस्ट आर्मचेयर थियोरिस्ट थे।
आर्मचेयर थियरिस्ट
मतलब एसी में बैठकर उन्होंने मिशनरीज और ट्रैवलर्स से मिले सेकंड हैंड डेटा पर थ्योरीज लिखी। बोआस ने कहा गेट आउट ऑफ द चेयर। ही डिमांडेड फर्स्ट हैंड इंटेंसिव फील्ड वर्क।
अच्छा, खुद जाके देखो।
हाँ, इसका सब्सटैंसिएशन है मार्गरेट मीड स्टडी इन सामोआ। उनकी डायरेक्ट ऑब्जर्वेशन ने एडोलेसेंस के बारे में यूनिवर्सल बायोलॉजिकल असम्पशंस को चैलेंज कर दिया। कल्चरल रिलेटिविज्म वर्सेस एथनोसेंट्रिज्म। इवोल्यूशनरिज्म डीपली एथनोसेंट्रिक था, मतलब वो यूरोपियन कल्चर को टॉप पर रखता था।
हाँ, अ वेरी बायस्ड व्यू।
बिल्कुल। बोआस ने कल्चरल रिलेटिविज्म को चैंपियन किया। ये आइडिया कि आपको एक कल्चर को उसके अपने वैल्यूज के आधार पर समझना चाहिए, अपने वैल्यूज से जज नहीं करना चाहिए। सब्सटैंसिएशन के लिए मेंशन कीजिए कि होपी और पुएब्लो ग्रुप्स के रिचुअल्स इरैशनल नहीं थे, बल्कि इनफैक्ट वो उनकी सोसाइटीज को स्टेबिलिटी देते थे। डी, डिफ्यूजन वर्सेस इंडिपेंडेंट इन्वेंशन। एवोल्यूशनिस्ट का मानना था कि डिफरेंट प्लेसेस में सिमिलर ट्रेट्स इंडिपेंडेंटली डेवलप होते हैं। बोआस ने आर्ग्यू किया कि डिफ्यूजन यानी कल्चरल बोरोइंग एक बहुत बड़ा फैक्टर है जो कल्चरल कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी को बेहतर एक्सप्लेन करता है।
कंक्लूड कीजिए ये कहकर कि हिस्टोरिकल पर्टिकुलरिज्म ने एंथ्रोपोलॉजी का फोकस ही बदल दिया। It replaced rigid, ethnocentric models with a pluralistic, context-sensitive understanding. Extra impact के लिए आप बोआस का 1940 का कोट ऐड कर सकते हैं, Anthropology must be a science of the particular.
This is amazing. अब कुछ क्रॉस क्वेश्चंस। पहला, how does the structure of a table help in scoring maximum marks here?
देखिए, जरूरी नहीं है, but a simple 2-column table comparing classical evolutionism and historical particularism on features like trajectory, method और outlook आपको extra marks दिला सकता है. It shows extreme clarity of thought.
And what exactly is the role of substantiation for each point? इसे थोड़ा और समझाएंगे?
सब्सटेंसिएशन का मतलब है प्रूफ। हर पॉइंट को एक सॉलिड एग्जाम्पल जैसे जूनी कल्चर या मीड स्टडी इन समोआ से बैक करना आपके आर्ग्यूमेंट को सुपर स्ट्रॉन्ग बनाता है। इट शोज यू आर नॉट जस्ट स्टेटिंग फैक्ट्स, यू आर प्रूविंग देम।
What is the one key word I must use when discussing Boas method?
एम्पिरिसिज्म। ये वर्ड सिग्नल करता है कि आप बोआस के साइंटिफिक, डेटा ड्रिवन, एविडेंस बेस्ड अप्रोच को समझते हैं। ही वॉज ऑल अबाउट फैक्ट्स, नॉट फिक्शन।
How can I make my introduction really stand out?
कोई टिप्स? स्टार्ट डायरेक्टली विद द कॉर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट। ऐसे शुरू कीजिए। Historical particularism, pioneered by Franz Boas, was not merely a new theory, but a fundamental revolution against the ethnocentric framework of 19th century classical evolutionism.
Strong है ना? Super strong.
But what if I get confused between diffusion and independent invention in the exam?
Simple याद रखिए। Independent invention मतलब मैंने ये आइडिया खुद सोचा। Diffusion मतलब मैंने आइडिया पड़ोसी से लिया। एवोल्यूशनिस्ट को पहला वाला पसंद था। बोआज ने दिखाया कि दूसरा वाला भी उतना ही इंपॉर्टेंट है।
And for the conclusion, is a summary enough या कुछ और भी? Summary के साथ-साथ एक लाइन लेगेसी पर लिखिए। For instance, this paradigm shift from speculative generalization to empirical particularism laid the foundation for modern ethical anthropology. Perfect. Now pause and practice saying this. Boas replaced armchair theorizing with empirical fieldwork and ethnocentrism with cultural relativism.
हिस्टोरिकल पर्टिकुलरिज्म ने वन साइज फिट्स ऑल थ्योरी को हटाकर कस्टम मेड हिस्ट्री का कॉन्सेप्ट लाया। कूल ना?
ओके, वो तो 20 मार्क का था। Now let's see how to tackle a short note. ये 2021 से है 10 मार्क्स के लिए।
Historical particularism and Franz Boas. Broad micro-theme. The shift from speculative universal evolution to empirical culture-specific historical reconstruction.
10 मार्कर का मतलब है be direct and impactful. No long stories.
The Boasian revolution in a nutshell.
ये क्वेश्चन सीधे बोआज और उनके कोर आइडिया को लिंक करने को कह रहा है। Historical particularism is Boaz's baby. Simple. It's his intellectual property.
Imagine एक शेफ है जो कहता है बेस्ट पिज्जा बनाने की एक ही यूनिवर्सल रेसिपी है। पहले बेस, फिर सॉस, फिर चीज। दिस इज एवोल्यूशनिज्म।
A fixed formula.
हाँ, फिर शेफ बोआज आते हैं और कहते हैं नहीं, इटली का पिज्जा अलग, न्यूयॉर्क का पिज्जा अलग। हर पिज्जा अपनी लोकल हिस्ट्री और इंग्रेडिएंट्स का प्रोडक्ट है। दैट्स इट। सो सिंपल येट सो प्रोफाउंड।
तो 10 मार्क्स के लिए इसे कैसे फ्रेम करें?
It's all about precision.
एक लाइन में डिफाइन कीजिए।
Historical particularism, pioneered by Franz Boas, posits that each culture is a unique product of its own specific history. The mind of primitive man का reference यहाँ भी डाल दीजिए for that extra academic touch.
10 मार्कर के लिए बुलेट पॉइंट्स बेस्ट काम करते हैं। रिजेक्शन ऑफ यूनिलिनियल एवोल्यूशन। सीधा लिखिए कि बोआज ने सैवेजरी टू सिविलाइजेशन स्टेजेस को फ्लैटली डिनाई किया। ही बेसिकली ब्रोक द लैडर। एम्पिरिसिज्म एंड फील्ड वर्क। मेंशन कीजिए कि उन्होंने आर्म चेयर थ्योराइजिंग की जगह फर्स्ट हैंड डेटा कलेक्शन को मैंडेटरी बनाया। इसका सब्सटेंसिएशन दीजिए। द फेमस एग्जांपल ऑफ द क्वाक्यूटल ट्राइब्स पोटलैट सेरेमनी।
Potlatch ceremony, ये बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है।
हाँ, बोआज ने दिखाया कि ये प्रिमिटिव वेस्ट नहीं था, बल्कि वेल्थ रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूट करने और प्रेस्टीज गेन करने का एक कॉम्प्लेक्स सोशियो इकोनॉमिक सिस्टम था। कल्चरल रिलेटिविज्म। बताइए कि कल्चर्स को उनके इंटरनल वैल्यू से इवैल्यूएट किया जाना चाहिए। इसका सब्सटेंसिएशन दीजिए। बोआज की स्टूडेंट रूथ बेनेडिक्ट का जूनी ट्राइब पर काम, जिसमें दिखाया गया कि उनके यूनिक कल्चरल पैटर्न्स यूनिवर्सल ह्यूमन प्रॉब्लम्स को अपने तरीके से एड्रेस करते थे।
कंक्लूड कीजिए यह कहकर कि बॉस ने एंथ्रोपोलॉजी को एक मॉडर्न एम्पिरिकल साइंस में ट्रांजिशन किया। और हाँ, एक लाइन का क्रिटिक ऐड करना एक ग्रेट वैल्यू ऐड है। मेंशन कीजिए कि रैडक्लिफ ब्राउन जैसे क्रिटिक्स ने आर्ग्यू किया कि ये अप्रोच डिस्क्रिप्टिव ज्यादा है, एनालिटिकल कम, और जनरल लॉज बनाने में फेल होता है।
Great advice. Let's do some quick cross questions. First, what's the ideal word count for a 10 marker? How does it help in time management?
Around 150 words is the sweet spot. Be concise, be sharp. गोल है मैक्सिमम इम्पैक्ट इन मिनिमम वर्ड्स, जो आपको लंबे क्वेश्चंस के लिए क्रूशियल टाइम बचाता है।
The potlatch ceremony example is so famous. Why is it so important to mention?
क्योंकि ये उनके मेथड इन एक्शन का परफेक्ट एग्जाम्पल है। जिसे आउटसाइडर्स वेस्टफुल और इरेशनल समझ रहे थे, बोआस ने फील्ड वर्क के थ्रू प्रूव किया कि सोसाइटी में उसका एक रियल कॉम्प्लेक्स फंक्शन था। It's the ultimate proof of his method.
For a short note, is it better to use bullet points or paragraphs for structure?
Short note क्वेश्चन के लिए बुलेट पॉइंट्स अक्सर बेहतर होते हैं। They help you present more information clearly in fewer words, और एग्जामिनर के लिए आपके की पॉइंट्स देखना सुपर इजी हो जाता है।
How can I effectively show the link between Boaz and his students like Ruth Benedict?
This principle of cultural relativism was further exemplified by his student Ruth Benedict in her study of the Zuni. ये continuity दिखाता है and highlights Boaz's immense influence as a teacher.
Is it a good idea to make a table here?
No. 10 मार्कर में टेबल के लिए स्पेस और टाइम नहीं होता। It's overkill. Stick to crisp, clear points.
What if I can't remember the critique part in the exam? Should I skip it?
No problem. अगर टाइम कम है तो आप क्रिटिक स्किप कर सकते हैं। But the three core principles, relativism, fieldwork और anti-evolutionism are non-negotiable. वो जरूर लिखना। Crystal clear. Now, everyone, pause and practice saying this. Boas used the Kwakiutl potlatch to demonstrate that cultural practices must be understood in their own socio-economic context.
10 marker on Boaz के लिए 3 चीजों पे फोकस करें। Rejecting evolution, championing fieldwork and promoting relativism. Done.
Let's switch gears. अब हम दो अलग थियरीज को कंपेयर करेंगे। दिस इज अ क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम 2015 फॉर 15 मार्क्स।
How does diffusionism and evolutionism differ as explanations of culture change?
ब्रॉड माइक्रो थीम।
The dichotomy between internal unilinear progress, evolutionism, and external cultural borrowing, diffusionism, as primary drivers of cultural transformation. This is a classic debate.
इसका कोर है हाउ डज कल्चर चेंज, खुद से फ्रॉम द इनसाइड या दूसरों से सीखकर फ्रॉम द आउटसाइड।
The source of change, inside versus outside.
तो देखो, एवोल्यूशनिज्म कहता है कि कल्चरल चेंज अंदर से आता है, इट्स एंडोजीनस, एक प्रिडिक्टेबल यूनिवर्सल सीक्वेंस में, जैसे एक बच्चा अपने आप ग्रो करता है फ्रॉम इन्फेंसी टू अडल्टहुड।
Okay, an internal process.
राइट। और डिफ्यूजनिज्म कहता है कि चेंज बाहर से आता है, इट्स एक्सोजीनस, जब एक कल्चर दूसरी से आइडियाज बोरो करती है, जैसे आप अपने दोस्त से नया स्लैंग या फैशन सेंस सीखते हो। थिंक अबाउट द स्मार्टफोन। एवोल्यूशनिस्ट पर्सपेक्टिव से ये टेक्नोलॉजी का एक नेचुरल स्टेज है जो हंटर गैदरर टूल से शुरू हुआ और लॉजिकली इस पॉइंट तक पहुंचा।
एक predictable step.
हाँ, बट फ्रॉम अ डिफ्यूजनिस्ट पर्सपेक्टिव, एप्पल ने आईफोन एक जगह इन्वेंट किया और फिर वो आइडिया पूरी दुनिया में डिफ्यूज हो गया, जिसे सैमसंग, गूगल सबने बोरो और अडेप्ट किया। देखा डिफरेंस? इट्स अ गेम चेंजर। तो हाउ डू वी राइट दिस आंसर फॉर 15 मार्क्स?
Difference between question के लिए structure is everything.
स्टार्ट कीजिए कल्चरल चेंज को डिफाइन करके एज द ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन ऑफ प्रैक्टिसेस ओवर टाइम। फिर दोनों स्कूल्स को इंट्रोड्यूस कीजिए, E.B. टॉयलर्स एवोल्यूशनिज्म जो चेंज को इंटरनल प्रोग्रेशन के रूप में देखता है, और डिफ्यूजनिज्म जो इसे कल्चरल बोरोइंग के रूप में देखता है।
यहाँ पर headings के साथ direct comparison कीजिए। A. Core assumptions and direction of change. Evolutionism argues that change is endogenous, internal, and unilinear. Substantiation के लिए you must mention Morgan and Tyler's famous savagery to barbarism to civilization model. Diffusionism argues that change is exogenous, external, and driven by spread from cultural centers. Substantiation के लिए आप ग्राफ्टन एलियट स्मिथ का एक्सट्रीम आइडिया साइट कर सकते हैं कि सारी सिविलाइजेशन इजिप्ट से डिफ्यूज हुई।
अच्छा, तो एक इंटरनल लैडर है और दूसरा एक्सटर्नल वेब।
Perfectly put. B. Methodology. Comparison versus reconstruction. Evolutionism uses the comparative method to find universal laws of culture. Substantiation. Morgan ने पूरी दुनिया के kinship patterns compare किए to create his sequence. Diffusionism uses historical reconstruction to trace the physical path of a specific trait from one place to another. Substantiation. Boaz ने potlatch ceremony का diffusion एक tribe से दूसरी tribe तक study किया. C. Innovation versus borrowing. Evolutionism believes in independent innovation or parallel evolution. Same problems lead to the same solutions everywhere. Substantiation. They argued that stone tools independently develop हुए कई जगहों पर. Diffusionism believes borrowing is primary. Humans are mainly imitators, not innovators. Substantiation. The idea of agriculture spreading from the Fertile Crescent across Europe through contact.
एंड में एक बैलेंस्ड व्यू दीजिए। लिखिए कि मॉडर्न एंथ्रोपोलॉजी मानती है कि चेंज इन दोनों का मिक्सचर है, कोई सिंगल थ्योरी कंप्लीट नहीं है। फॉर एग्जांपल, गवर्नेंस में हम लोकल इनोवेशन देखते हैं, बट फॉर डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजीज हम ग्लोबल डिफ्यूजन देखते हैं।
Brilliant breakdown. Time for cross questions. How do I avoid just listing points and make my answer more analytical?
कंपैरेटिव वर्ड्स यूज कीजिए, जैसे इन कॉन्ट्रास्ट, whereas, and on the other hand, to actively compare, not just list. हर पॉइंट के बाद एक लाइन ऐड कीजिए explaining why this difference matters. For example, this difference in methodology meant evolutionists sought universal laws while diffusionists reconstructed specific histories.
Should I criticize the theories in the body of the answer?
Yes, subtly. जब आप डिफ्यूजनिज्म का इजिप्ट वाला एग्जाम्पल दे रहे हो, तो आप हाइपर डिफ्यूजनिस्ट जैसे टर्म्स यूज कर सकते हैं टू शो इट्स लिमिटेशन। सिमिलरली, एवोल्यूशनिज्म के लिए एथनोसेंट्रिक वर्ड यूज कीजिए टू हाईलाइट इट्स बायस।
Is it good idea to replicate the comparison table from the source notes? How does that impact scoring?
Absolutely. A table summarizing key differences, source of change, logic, trajectory, bias, एक fantastic तरीका है comparison question में high marks score करने का. It shows the examiner you've organized your thoughts perfectly.
What's the biggest mistake students make in this answer?
They mix up the two theories. हमेशा clear रखिए. Evolutionism equal to internal, universal ladder. Diffusionism equal to external, borrowing from a center. Keep them in separate mental boxes.
Are words like endogenous and exogenous necessary to use?
जरूरी नहीं है, but they are technical terms that show a deeper understanding. और एग्जामिनर को definitely impress करेंगे. Endogenous equals originating from within. Exogenous originating from outside. Simple to remember.
And how can I conclude this answer powerfully?
Don't take a side. एक synthesis के साथ conclude कीजिए. बताइए कि आज हम समझते हैं कि न तो evolutionism अकेले सही है, न ही diffusionism. They both work together to explain the complex process of cultural change.
Got it. Okay, team. Time to practice. Rehearse this. Evolutionism posits endogenous, unilineal change, while diffusionism argues for exogenous change through cultural borrowing.
To sum it up, evolutionism is like growing up on your own, while diffusionism is like learning from your friends. To sum it up.
Okay. हमारे पास 2015 से एक और 10 मार्क है, जो 2021 के क्वेश्चन से almost identical है. Let's tackle it with a slightly different flavor to show our depth. Historical particularism and Franz Boas. 10 marks. 2015. Broad micro theme. The shift from speculative universal evolution to empirical culture-specific historical reconstruction.
Right. जब कोई question repeat होता है, the key is to show you have more depth. हम इस बार जहां possible हो, different examples use करेंगे.
Boas's core ideas. A quick refresh.
Again, ये a person, Franz Boas को उनके big idea, historical particularism से link करने के बारे में है. The idea that every culture is a movie with its own unique script, not just a scene in someone else's epic film.
Let's use a music analogy. Evolutionism is like saying all music must go through stages. Classical, rock, pop. It's a single ladder.
Right, a hierarchy.
Boas आते हैं और कहते हैं absolutely not. Jazz, hip hop, folk music, इन सब की अपनी separate, valid and complex histories है. आप उन्हें एक scale पर rank नहीं कर सकते. That is historical particularism. So how do we frame this 10 marker?
We'll keep the structure tight. Start by defining historical particularism as the theory pioneered by Franz Boas, emphasizing that each culture is a unique product of its own history.
Yeah.
उनकी seminal work, The Mind of Primitive Man, 1911, को mention कीजिए to set the stage.
Correct. Core principles पर focus कीजिए with slightly different substantiations. Core principle 1. Cultural relativism. Understanding societies based on their own values, not judging them against external standards. Core principle 2. Fieldwork and empiricism. Boas ने armchair theorizing पर detailed first-hand data collection को mandatory बनाया.
Substantiation. सिर्फ quactutal के बजाय, let's also bring in his work with the Inuit of the Arctic.
Our new example. Good idea. हाँ, बोआज ने दिखाया कि harsh Arctic environment के प्रति उनके sophisticated technological and cultural adaptations उनकी unique history और needs का product थे. Primitive होने का sign नहीं. We can still mention the Kwakiutl potlatch as a classic example of reinterpreting a practice from wasteful to functional.
Conclude by highlighting the massive shift Boas brought. उन्होंने anthropology को एक speculative philosophy से एक rigorous empirical science में बदल दिया. Use his 1940 book Race, Language and Culture as a source to show you've read beyond the basics. And again, a one-line critique adds balance.
Perfect. Time for some rapid-fire cross questions. How is the structure of this answer different from the 2021 questions answer to score well? Core structure वही है, but we vary the substantiation. Inuit example को Kwakiutl के साथ लाकर हम Boas के काम की broader knowledge show करते हैं. The framing can also focus more on his legacy as a method builder.
What's the role of mentioning a book like The Mind of Primitive Man?
It's like citing a key source in a debate. It shows you know the origin of the idea and have done your reading. It adds authority and academic weight to your answer, even in a short note.
How can I use case studies effectively in a short note without taking up too much space?
Be very specific and brief. पूरी कहानी मत बताइए, बस कहिए, for example, his study of the Inuit demonstrated how their environmental adaptations were highly sophisticated. एक line point proof करने के लिए काफी है.
Why is including a critique important, even for just 10 marks?
It shows balanced and critical thinking. It elevates your answer from a simple summary to an analysis. It tells the examiner you understand the theory's strengths and its weaknesses.
What's the best way to start this answer? To make an immediate impact?
Direct and confident. Historical particularism, the anthropological theory pioneered by Franz Boas, fundamentally asserts that each culture is a unique product of its own specific history. No wasted words.
What's the main takeaway from this topic for an exam? The absolute core formula.
Boas equals fieldwork plus cultural relativism plus anti-evolutionism. अगर आप ये simple formula याद रखते हैं, you can construct an answer to almost any question about him.
Excellent. Okay, everyone, practice saying this. Boas mandated detailed, first-hand collection of empirical data over armchair theorizing. बोएज ने हमें सिखाया कि एक कल्चर को समझने के लिए आपको उसे जीना होगा, सिर्फ एक कंफर्टेबल चेयर से उसके बारे में पढ़ना नहीं.
Now for something new and super interesting from the year 2000.
Culture area and age area. Diffusionism. The methodological frameworks of culture area and age area used by the American School of Diffusionism to reconstruct cultural history through spatial and temporal analysis.
Yes. If historical particularism is the philosophy, these are the tools.
Mapping culture, the GPS of diffusionism.
मतलब culture area and age area concepts American diffusionist जैसे Clark Whistler and A.L. Kroeber ने develop किए थे to scientifically trace how cultural traits travel. It was their way of being detectives and mapping the crime scene of cultural borrowing.
Imagine एक नया फैशन ट्रेंड जैसे रिप जीन्स पहनना मुंबई में स्टार्ट होता है. कल्चरल एरिया वो ज्योग्राफिकल मैप होगा जो दिखाता है कि ये ट्रेंड कहाँ पॉपुलर है. शायद मुंबई, दिल्ली एंड बैंगलोर एक रिप जीन्स कल्चरल एरिया बनाते हैं.
Right, a geographical cluster.
हाँ. The age area principle is how you figure out it started in Mumbai because the trend is most widespread and has the most variations there. You can guess it's the oldest point of origin. Simple, right?
Exactly. Now let's structure the answer.
Introduce these concepts as methodological tools developed by the American School of Diffusionism, specifically by Boas's students Whistler and Kroeber. Mention that this was a reaction to classical evolutionism's vague stages, focusing instead on empirical reconstruction or historicism.
इसे 3 parts में break down कीजिए. A. The culture area concept. Definition: a geographical region where different societies share a homogeneous culture due to a similar environment and constant interaction. Substantiation: क्लार्क विस्लर्स वर्क इज द की एग्जाम्पल। उन्होंने नॉर्थ अमेरिका को 8 फूड एरियाज में डिवाइड किया, जैसे ग्रेट प्लेन्स पर बाइसन एरिया और नॉर्थ पैसिफिक कोस्ट पर सैमन एरिया, जहां मेन फूड सोर्स ने पूरे कल्चर को शेप किया।
तो एनवायरनमेंट का बहुत बड़ा रोल था।
बिल्कुल। अल्फ्रेड क्रोगर ने बाद में इसे कल्चर क्लाइमैक्स के आइडिया से रिफाइन किया, वो सेंटर जहां एक कल्चर सबसे इंटेंस होता है। बी, द एज एरिया प्रिंसिपल, लॉजिक। दिस इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड द लॉ ऑफ डिफ्यूजन। It says traits spread out from a center, in circles, like ripples in a pond. The most widely distributed traits are the oldest, and traits found only at the very center are the newest. Substantiation. Whistler ने इसे plain sun dance को study करने के लिए use किया, showing that its most basic elements were found across the largest area, making them the oldest, while the most elaborate rituals were only at the center, making them the newest. C. Critical evaluation. C. Critical evaluation. No theory is perfect. You must mention Edward Sapir's critique. उन्होंने आर्ग्यू किया कि डिफ्यूजन रिपल्स की तरह यूनिफॉर्म नहीं होता। Geographical barriers और cultural resistance can block it.
अच्छा, तो ये इतना सिंपल नहीं है।
हाँ, सपीर ने ये भी पॉइंट आउट किया कि ओल्डेस्ट ट्रेड्स समय के साथ सेंटर से डिसअपियर हो सकते हैं, जिससे ट्रू ओरिजिन खोजना मुश्किल हो जाता है। फॉर इंस्टेंस, क्रिश्चियनिटी जेरूसलम में स्टार्ट हुआ, बट इट्स सेंटर इज नाउ द वैटिकन।
Conclude by saying that while these frameworks had limitations, they were a huge step forward. They moved anthropology from armchair speculation to empirical mapping and fieldwork, laying more groundwork for historical particularism.
Fantastic. Let's get to the cross questions. Why were these concepts a reaction to evolutionism? How does this framing help my answer?
Because evolutionism offered a single universal timeline, without proof. The culture area age area approach offered a specific geographical map based on actual collected data. It was about proof over speculation. Framing it as a reaction gives your answer a strong narrative.
What is culture climax in simple terms?
It's the downtown of a culture area, the most vibrant, intense, and complex spot from which new ideas radiate outwards. For the art world, you could say Paris was the culture climax in the 19th century.
Can the age area principle be wrong? And why is it important to mention that?
Yes, and that's what Sapir's critique showed. Mentioning this is important because it shows you are a critical thinker, not just a fact repeater. It proves you understand the nuances and limitations of the theory.
How should I structure this complex answer to make it easy to read? Use clear headings. The cultural area concept, the age area principle, and critical evaluation. हर एक के नीचे definition, logic, और substantiation के लिए bullet points use कीजिए. Structure is your best friend here.
What is isomorphism and how does it relate to this topic? It's a term Boas used, meaning similarity of form. If two neighboring tribes have very similar pottery designs, that's isomorphism. For diffusionists, this was proof of borrowing. Not that both tribes magically invented the same design independently.
Why is Sapir's critique so important to include for a high-scoring answer?
Because it shows that science self-corrects. Sapir, a student of this school, pointed out its flaws. It adds nuance and shows that these ideas weren't accepted blindly. Mentioning it makes your answer more critical and complete.
Got it. Now pause and practice saying this. The culture area concept maps where traits are, while the age area principle guesses how old they are based on their spread.
Yeah.
Basically, American diffusionists try to become cultural detectives, using maps and timelines to trace the secret history of ideas.
Moving on to a question from 1998, which zooms in on one of those concepts.
Define culture area. How did it help American diffusionists to understand diffusion of culture?
Broad microtheme, the culture area approach as a methodological tool for understanding localized cultural spread and historical reconstruction in the American school of diffusionism.
Yes, this is a deep dive into the first half of our previous discussion, so we need to expand on it.
The culture area blueprint.
A culture area is simply a geographical zone where people, because they live in a similar environment and talk to each other a lot, end up sharing a lot of the same cultural traits, like food, tools, beliefs, and languages.
Think about the dosa belt in South India. It's a geographical region where dosa is a staple food, and this shared food habit influences everything from breakfast routines to restaurant menus. It creates a kind of culinary culture area. So, perfect analogy. Or think of the IT hub culture in cities like Bangalore and Hyderabad, which share a common professional language, work ethic, and lifestyle. Here's the answer structure.
Start with a crisp definition. A culture area is a geographical region with a uniform environment where resident societies exhibit homogeneous cultural traits. Mention it was pioneered by Boas and refined by Clark Whistler, and its main goal was to replace universal stages with empirical historicism.
This is the core. Explain how it helped diffusionists. 1. It demonstrated isomorphism and proximity. The approach showed that cultural sharing is most common among neighbors. Substantiation. Boas observed that artifacts from neighboring North American tribes showed isomorphism, structural similarities, which he argued was clear proof of historical connection and borrowing, not independent invention.
So basically, पड़ोसियों में similarity coincidence नहीं है.
Exactly. Though it helped identify the culture center. This concept helped pinpoint a point of origin or a dynamic center where traits were most intense and complex. Substantiation. Clark Whistler's division of North America into 8 food areas, like the bison area, is the classic example. The tribes at the center of the plains had the most elaborate bison hunting culture. 3. It enabled temporal reconstruction. The culture area map was the basis for the age area principle. By seeing how trades were distributed within an area, they could guess their relative age. The widest spread trades were the oldest. 4. It explained cultural modification. The concept also helped show that traits are not just blindly copied. They are modified to fit the existing culture of the borrowing group. So a tool might look different at the periphery of a culture area than at the center.
Conclude by saying the culture area approach gave American diffusionists a scientific, data-driven framework to replace speculative armchair theories. By focusing on local historical experiences and the environment, it became a cornerstone of both diffusionism and cultural relativism.
Awesome. Let's hit the cross questions. How is the structure of this answer different from the previous one on both culture and age area?
The previous answer gave equal weight to both concepts and the critique. This answer focuses 80% on the culture area concept and explains its specific functions and contributions in much more detail. The age area principle is mentioned here only as one of the functions of the culture area map.
What's the best way to define culture area? In the first line for maximum impact. Keep it simple and direct.
A culture area is a geographical region where societies share a homogeneous culture due to environmental similarity and sustained interaction.
That covers all the key elements. How did this concept help prove diffusion over independent invention?
Because the patterns were too consistent. If you see a dozen neighboring tribes all using a similar, very specific type of arrowhead, it's far more logical to assume they learned it from each other than to believe all 12 invented it identically on their own. The map made the borrowing obvious.
Can you give another example of cultural modification?
Think of McDonald's in India. It diffused here, but it wasn't adopted completely. It was modified to fit the local culture, giving us the Makalu Tikki burger. That's cultural modification at the edge of a global fast food culture area.
Should I draw a rough map for this answer to score more?
If you have time and you're confident, a very simple map of North America showing, for example, the bison area and salmon area can definitely make your answer stand out, but only if it's quick and clear.
What is the main contribution of this concept in one line?
Its main contribution was making the study of cultural history empirical and spatial. It took abstract ideas about cultural change and put them on a physical map. Love it. Okay, everyone, practice saying this. A culture area is a geographical region where resident societies exhibit homogeneous cultural traits.
The culture area was a tool to prove that neighbors influence each other. A simple but revolutionary idea in anthropology back then.
And we are back to the man himself, 1998 se ek aur short note.
Franz Boas, short note, broad microtheme. The transition from speculative unilinear evolution to empirical context-specific historical particularism.
Yes, the third short note on Boas, the key is to use the unique substantiations provided in this specific source material to show your depth of knowledge.
The man who rewrote anthropology, Franz Boas.
Ye mini biography of the founding father of American anthropology. Boas was the revolutionary who argued that every culture has its own unique story and that the anthropologist's job is to go out, listen to that story, and write it down respectfully.
Exactly. Imagine history books that only ever talk about kings, queens, and big wars. Then a new historian comes along and says, wait, what about the common people? What do they eat? What songs did they sing?
Right, history from below.
Exactly. Boas did that for anthropology. He completely changed the focus from grand, sweeping stages to the details of everyday life.
That's a great way to put it.
Here's the structure.
Start by calling him the founding father of American anthropology and the pioneer of historical particularism. State that his work, especially The Mind of Primitive Man, 1911, dismantled the intellectual foundations of classical evolutionism. Focus on 3 of his key contributions, using the specific examples from this source. 1. Rejection of unilinear evolution. Boas denied that all societies follow a single path. Substantiation, this source gives a killer example. His study of the Kwakiutl in northwest Canada showed a society that shifted from patrilineality to matrilineality.
अच्छा तो उन्होंने sequence reverse कर दिया.
Yes. This completely reversed the universal evolutionary sequence proposed by evolutionists who claimed the shift must always be in the other direction. This was a direct knockout punch to their theory. 2. Methodology of participant observation. He replaced armchair theorizing with intensive, first-hand fieldwork. Substantiation. This source highlights his work among the Inuit of Baffin Island. Boas demonstrated how their sophisticated perceptions of ice and water were brilliant environmental adaptations, not primitive logic. 3. Cultural relativism and the integrated whole. Boas viewed culture as an integrated whole where no trait can be studied in isolation. Substantiation. His museum work is a great example. He stopped arranging artifacts on a universal evolutionary scale and instead arranged them by geographic tribe, showing them in their cultural context. This was revolutionary.
Correct. Conclude by saying, Boas shifted anthropology from a speculative philosophy to a rigorous cognitive science. He laid the foundation for modern empirical study, famously arguing that cultures are not fossils, but living, functioning systems.
Perfect. Let's do the cross questions. This is the third question on Boas. How do I make my answer unique and not repetitive?
Focus on unique evidence. Mentioning the Kwakiutl's reversal of the patrilineal-matrilineal sequence is a specific, powerful detail that will set your answer apart. Similarly, citing his museum work is a great, less common example of his principles in action.
What does reversing the evolutionary sequence actually mean? थोड़ा simplify कर दो.
Evolutionists had a rigid rule. Societies start with female lineage, matrilineality, and evolve to male lineage, patrilineality. Boas found a group that went the other way, from patrilineal to matrilineal. This single piece of data broke their universal law.
Why was his museum work revolutionary? How does it help in scoring?
Before Boas, museums displayed objects to show a ladder of progress, with European objects at the top. Boas arranged them by culture, showing that an Inuit harpoon was a perfectly designed tool for its own specific context. Mentioning this shows you understand the practical application of his ideas.
What is an integrated whole?
It means you can't understand one part of a culture without understanding all the other parts it's connected to. You can't understand a religious ritual without understanding the economy, kinship system, and politics of that society. सब कुछ connected है.
How can I concisely explain his main contribution in one sentence?
Boas professionalized anthropology by replacing speculative evolutionism with a rigorous methodology based on empirical fieldwork, cultural relativism, and historical context. That one sentence covers everything.
What's a common mistake in writing a short note on a person that I should avoid?
Just listing their achievements like a resume. Instead, you should create a narrative. Show what the world was like before them, what revolutionary idea they introduced, and how the world changed after them. Tell a story of impact. Fantastic advice. All right, everyone, practice saying this. Boas replaced armchair theorizing with intensive first-hand fieldwork, viewing culture as an integrated whole.
In essence, Boas told anthropologists to stop guessing from afar and start listening up close.
All right, now for a big one from 1997. The directive is different.
Critically examine the historical particularistic approach of Franz Boas to the study of culture.
Broad micro-theme. The Boasian shift from speculative unilineal progress to empirical, context-driven historical particularism and its role in establishing cultural relativism.
Critically examine is a key phrase. It means don't just praise. You have to show the good, the bad, and the legacy.
The Boasian legacy, genius and its critics. Boas was a complete game-changer who made anthropology a real science. But his methods, while revolutionary, weren't perfect. This answer is about looking at both sides of the coin, celebrating his genius while also understanding the valid criticisms against his approach.
Bilkul.
Think of a revolutionary movie director, maybe someone like Stanley Kubrick. Their films change cinema forever. They introduce new techniques. That's their strength.
Right.
But critics might say they focus too much on beautiful, detailed shots and not enough on the overall story. That's the weakness. We need to do the same for Boas.
Exactly. Let's break it down. Start by defining historical particularism. आप मेंशन कर सकते हैं कि ये टर्म खुद मार्विन हैरिस ने बोआस के काम को डिस्क्राइब करने के लिए बाद में कॉइन किया था. State its core goal to challenge the universal laws of classical evolutionism by meticulously reconstructing specific cultural histories. 2. Body part 1. The strengths, the genius. A. Rejection of unilineal evolution. Start with whose biggest contribution. He attacked the armchair methods of Taylor and Morgan. Substantiation. Use the powerful quacutal example again, where he showed the matrilineal-patrilineal sequence could be reversed, disproving their universal law. B. Holism and participant observation. He mandated intensive fieldwork and learning the native language to capture the native's point of view. Substantiation. His work with the Inuit of Baffin Island is the perfect case study. C. Foundation for cultural relativism. He established the ethical principle of judging cultures by their own standards. This was a massive blow to 19th century ethnocentrism. 3. Body part 2. The weaknesses, the criticism. 3. Body part 2. This is the most important part for this question. 1. Anti-theoretical turn. This is the biggest criticism. By focusing so intensely on collecting specific local details, Boas was accused of being more descriptive than analytical.
मतलब वो डेटा तो बहुत कलेक्ट करते थे, पर थियरी नहीं बनाते थे.
Exactly. He was great at collecting dots, but he rarely tried to connect them to form a bigger picture or a general law. 2. Meaningless data. A related critique is that data collection without a guiding theory can lead to a huge mass of meaningless facts. Critics argued his method could lead to anthropologists prioritizing irrelevant details over significant ones.
Conclude with a balanced statement. While historical particularism has been critiqued for its lack of generalizability, its positive impact is undeniable. It transformed anthropology into a rigorous, empirical, and ethical science. And with a strong line like, Boas ensured that humans are studied not as fossils on a ladder, but as members of equally valid functioning systems.
That's a very balanced structure. Time for the cross questions. What does critically examine actually mean for my answer structure?
It means you must present a two-sided argument. First, explain the merits and contributions. Then present the significant criticisms or limitations. Finally, offer a concluding judgment on its overall importance despite the flaws.
How much weight should I give to the criticism part to get good marks?
For a 20-mark critically examined question, I'd say about 60-70% on the contributions and positive aspects and 30-40% on the criticisms. The legacy is mostly positive, so the balance should reflect that.
What's the best way to structure the criticism section clearly?
Use a clear subheading like limitations and criticisms. Then use bullet points for each critique, like anti-theoretical stance and the problem of data collection. Explain each point clearly. This keeps it organized.
Who was Marvin Harris, and why is mentioning him an advantage?
Marvin Harris was a later influential anthropologist who wrote a famous history of anthropological theory. Mentioning that he coined the term historical particularism shows a deeper knowledge of the field's history. It's an expert-level detail.
What does anti-theoretical turn mean in simple words?
It means a shift away from making big, general theories, like all societies evolve this way, and towards just collecting very specific facts about one culture. This tribe does this ritual in this way. The fear was that anthropology would become just a collection of facts with no connecting ideas.
How do I conclude a critical answer without sounding too negative? Acknowledge the criticisms, but end by reaffirming the subject's foundational importance. A good structure is, despite these valid criticisms, the contributions of Boas's approach in establishing mention key contributions cannot be overstated. It fundamentally shaped the discipline for the better.
Excellent. Now, pause and practice saying this. While Boas's historical particularism established empiricism, critics argue it was often more descriptive than analytical, failing to formulate general laws.
So, Boas was brilliant at collecting the what and how of cultures, but critics wanted more of the why that applied to all of humanity.
We've made it to our final question from 1995. This one feels like a great summary of everything we've discussed. What was Boas's approach of studying primitive cultures? Delineate the role of fieldwork and history in anthropological study. Broad micro-theme. The transition from speculative universal evolution to empirical context-specific historical particularism through rigorous methodology.
Absolutely. This is the grand finale on Boas's method. It ties everything together.
The Boasian method. Fieldwork, history, and a new science.
This question asks for Boas's toolkit. How did he actually study cultures? His approach was a powerful combination of two things: going there to see it for yourself, fieldwork, and digging into the past to understand how it got that way, history.
Let's go back to our detective analogy one last time. If you're a detective at a crime scene, your toolkit has two main parts. First is fieldwork. You examine the evidence, interview witnesses, and see things with your own eyes.
The what is happening now.
Huh.
Second is history. You check the victim's background, look at old records, and reconstruct the timeline. Boas said an anthropologist needs to do both to solve the mystery of a culture. Perfect analogy to close on. Here's the structure.
Start by stating that Franz Boas's approach, known as historical particularism, was a revolutionary departure from classical evolutionarism. Its core was to understand each culture as a unique product of its own specific history and environment.
Yes. Structure this answer in 3 clear parts as asked by the question. 1. Boas's approach to primitive cultures. First, address this directly. Explain that he rejected the very idea of primitive as an ethnocentric ranking. His approach was cultural relativism, viewing societies as integrated wholes that must be understood on their own terms. 2. The role of fieldwork. Next, delineate its role. Boas replaced armchair theorizing with intensive participant observation. He made it mandatory to live with the people being studied and learn the native language to capture the native's point of view without bias. Substantiation. Use the example of his work among the Inuit of Baffin Island, showing their complex environmental knowledge. 3. The role of history. Delineate its role next. He emphasized historicism, reconstructing the specific past of a culture rather than fitting it into a universal one. This involves studying how traits diffused from neighbors and how the culture adapted to its unique environment over time. Substantiation. The Kwakiutl study is perfect here, showing their unique historical trajectory.
Conclude that by making empirical fieldwork and historical reconstruction the twin pillars of his approach, Boas transformed anthropology. He established the rigorous methodological foundation for modern ethnography, ensuring all cultures are studied as functioning, valid systems.
A brilliant summary. Let's wrap up with a final set of cross-questions. How does this question combine everything we've discussed into one structure?
It's the ultimate how-to question. It's not just asking what Boas thought, but how he worked. It forces you to synthesize his philosophy, cultural relativism, his practical method, fieldwork, and his theoretical goal, historical reconstruction, into one coherent answer.
What's the core difference between fieldwork and history in Boas's view?
Fieldwork is about the present, documenting a culture as it exists now. History is about the past, reconstructing how it came to be this way. You need both to get the full picture.
How can I best delineate the role of these two things in my answer? Delineate means to describe precisely. Use separate paragraphs with clear headings, the role of fieldwork and the role of history. In each, first define the role, then explain its purpose, and finally give a concrete example. Is it okay to use the same examples like Kwakiutl and Inuit again here?
Absolutely. In fact, it's expected. These are the classic foundational case studies of Boas's work. Using them shows you know the most important evidence associated with his theories. Consistency is good.
What's a powerful concluding line for an answer on Boas's methodology? Something that summarizes the synthesis. For example, in conclusion, Boas's dual emphasis on synchronic fieldwork and diachronic history created a holistic methodology that remains the bedrock of modern anthropological inquiry.
Using terms like synchronic and diachronic would be a high-level touch. And what does native's point of view truly mean?
It means trying to understand the world as the people you are studying understand it. Their logic, their values, their categories of thought, from the inside out, rather than imposing your own culture's logic from the outside in. It's the heart of the relativistic approach.
Perfect. Let's do our last practice cue. Practicing this. Boas's approach combined empirical fieldwork to understand the present with historical reconstruction to understand the past.
Boas's method was simple yet profound. Go there, learn their story, and respect it. That changed everything. Boas's method was simple yet profound.
What an incredible deep discussion. हमने anthropology की पूरी history travel कर ली, from the old school evolutionists sitting in their armchairs to the revolutionary Franz Boas walking through Arctic snow.
चलिए एक final quick recap करते हैं.
Let's do it. The broad micro theme of our entire discussion was
The massive shift in anthropology from speculative, grand, universal theories to empirical, context-specific and relativistic studies.
इसको ऐसे याद रखिए, हम बड़ी कहानियां बनाने से छोटी सच्ची कहानियां कलेक्ट करने पर आ गए हैं.
Wow, that's a beautiful way to put it.
Here's a bullet point summary of our journey. Classical evolutionism. इसका मंत्र था one world, one path. It was unilineal, ethnocentric and done from an armchair. Simple but wrong.
Historical particularism. Franz Boas का counter-attack, इसका मंत्र था many worlds, many paths. It was multilinear, relativistic and based on field work. Every culture's unique history must be respected.
Diffusionism. इसका मंत्र था ideas travel. It argues that culture change happens mainly through borrowing or diffusion. American schools ने इसके लिए tools बनाए जैसे culture area and age area concepts to trace the path of culture like a detective. The Boasian legacy. Boas established the three pillars of modern anthropology. Fieldwork. Go and see for yourself. Cultural relativism. Don't judge, understand. And historicism. Context is king. उन्होंने anthropology को एक real empirical science बनाया.
Perfect summary. From broad, often biased guesses to detailed, respectful evidence. That was the real journey. बिल्कुल. अब जाते जाते एक provocative thought for you to think about. आज की हाइपर कनेक्टेड ग्लोबलाइज्ड वर्ल्ड में जहां आइडियाज इंस्टाग्राम और टिकटॉक के थ्रू इंस्टेंटली स्प्रेड होते हैं, क्या डिफ्यूजनिज्म अब तक की सबसे रेलेवेंट थ्योरी बन गया है?
Ooh, that's a brilliant question to think about.
या फिर लोकल पॉलिटिकल मूवमेंट्स और यूनिक कल्चरल आइडेंटिटीज का राइज ये प्रूव करता है कि हिस्टोरिकल पर्टिकुलरिज्म अभी भी जिंदा है एंड परहैप्स मोर इंपॉर्टेंट देन एवर.
What a journey, दोस्त. अगर आपके दिमाग के न्यूरल पाथवेज फायर अप हो गए हैं तो हमारा कनेक्शन भी स्ट्रांग कीजिए. सब्सक्राइब, लाइक और नीचे कमेंट सेक्शन में बताइए आपका सबसे बड़ा आहा मोमेंट क्या था. हम मिलेंगे नेक्स्ट टाइम. तब तक कीप क्वेश्चनिंग, कीप लर्निंग.